in-service format to where every sworn member of the agency.
Can we mute back there, folks? Go ahead, Chief.
And then every sworn member of the department would receive the training. Again, it's a 2-year program. This will be the first year, and then the one of the unique components of it. And I sent them all. I don't know if you've gotten a copy of the article that was in the IACP about this at my former agency where we did this with this same vendor. But there is a measuring component of it that actually measures where the officer is post the training versus where they were when they initially started.
Okay. Were there any organization locally that were interested, Chief, or you didn't get that far yet?
I did not get that far, sir.
Okay. Okay. Councilors, any question on this one? Okay, so I guess with the waiver.
Yeah, I do have a question, Counselor. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Madam President.
Okay, so Chief, you said this is contracted with the vendor for 2 years?
Yes, ma'am. This will be for this year and next year. I believe this year is 2 hours, and the next year will be 3 hours of in-service for all of our sworn personnel.
So down the road, do you look to RFP this, or do you look to stay with the same vendor?
Well, I would certainly want to complete the program if we started. I wouldn't want to not do it for the 2 years, because it's the second year actually builds upon what was delivered the first year.
And after the second year, we could do an RFP, correct?
We could, and if by that you mean like try a different vendor for maybe a different flavor or something different.
Or put it out there, yeah.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yes,
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thanks.
So it's what is influencing your decision, Chief, to waive this bid?
But because I actually used this program in Little Rock, it was the first time that it had been used there as well. And the one thing that was impressive prior to, and this gentleman is an expert in that area. I don't like to use the word expert, but that's what his degrees, his background, his education, his company, they're experts in this area. And they are out of Denver, Colorado. So it's not a Little Rock thing. We brought them in from Denver there. But prior to that, the whole topic of cultural diversity, implicit bias, those types of things was a very confrontational exercise for police and the instructors. And much of that was because of the posture of police, I guess, feeling defensive, just talking about the topic. And then sometimes I think that depending upon the instructors, that maybe they went in not understanding the climate to which they were going to have to deliver this subject matter. What was unique about this that really opened my eyes, in addition to, I took the training while I was there too, because everyone had to take it, including the chief's office. It was the third ranked in-service that we had for all of in-service. We did 40 hours in Little Rock. And it was the third ranked as far as popularity with the officers for classes that we put on. And if you can get police to buy into that for something that's very uncomfortable for anyone to sit through, and from a training standpoint, I was very, very impressed with that. And I can tell you that just going through the training myself, much of the pillars are about getting everyone to understand that you have biases, regardless of who you are, where you come from. We all have something in us that when we see things, we hear things, we draw certain conclusions based upon a number of different things that has brought us to that moment. This training is about, despite having that in you, how do you recognize that, and then how do you override that to make your decisions based upon what your profession, what your organization, what humanity would have you to do in that moment, and not ignoring the fact that my daughter has brought home a white male as her boyfriend, and it made me very uncomfortable to see that. And even though I might not have said it, I was thinking to myself, to my daughter, why did you bring this white boy home? That made me uncomfortable. But despite that, it allows me to go ahead and say, you know what? Well, I'll sit down and I'll talk to this kid. And I later find out that he's on the honor roll, and he plans to go to school. He cuts grass more than lawns. I got beyond my initial prejudice. So that is kind of part of what it is first to recognize what's in you, and then how do you override that in your decision making when you're dealing with people. That's just one of the lines of how he does that.
Is that going to teach men how to understand boisterous women?
Well, there's some much training needed on that, Miss Hudson.
Sure is.
You know, some of that is cultural, though, too, though, Ms. Hudson. We joke about that, but some of that, too, just recognizing different things about certain neighborhoods. For example, as you all can see, most African-American people, we're very animated. We're loud. So you may hear me and Ms. Hudson on a corner talking loudly or moving our hands or doing something like that. And at a distance, you may think we're getting ready to fight. When we're actually in a very jovial mood, but it's just understanding those things. We're going to be fighting. Okay, yes. But that's a part of that cultural understanding of those kinds of things. And in of his courses, the cultural competency for law enforcement.
So you said that that he has this metric where before you start the class that there's a measurement that he takes, and then after the fact. Now with Little Rock, what was the competency going in and the variance after coming out?
I don't have that information. I can put that on my to-do list to get you that, and he is very quick in his responses, but I will get you that, the competency pre and post Little Rock.
Okay.
I'll also get you the article, just in case some of our council folks maybe don't remember it or haven't seen it, but there was an article in IACP, which is the International Association of Chiefs of Police, that they wrote about this training as a best practice model of, hey, this is a new way to look at this. Because I can tell you that historically, our agency and many other agencies, we were doing the same thing in Louisville. These topics were being taught by police officers. And in my humble opinion, no disrespect to cops or any good law enforcement instructors, this kind of stuff should not be cop to cop speaking. I don't think you get to the destination we're all trying to get to by police talking to police.
All right, thanks, Chief. Councilors, any follow-up questions here? I guess, okay, Chief, thank you. See if you can give us that information before for Monday also.
Okay, yeah, pre and post competency, and yes. Then the article, the reference the training. Okay.
Yes. So let's move on to the Lewis uniform waiver.
Waiver for uniform. Lieutenant Lutz can probably give you some information on this. I know that we've had Lewis for a number of years, but Lieutenant Lutz, can you tell Mr. Majoke, Councilman Majoke, about our relationship with Lewis uniforms and United uniforms? Lieutenant Lutz, I can see him. It looks like he's muted.
Mm.
Yeah, you see him down here, Councilman? It should say B. Lutz.
Yeah, he seemed like he's actually talking, and we can't hear him. Jim, is there a way you can see if you can unmute Lieutenant Lutz?
He's unmuted.
Huh?
He is unmuted.
Okay, I'm wondering why we can't hear him.
Can you
Lieutenant.
hear me now, Counselor?
Yeah, there
Yes,
you go.
yes.
I apologize. So the waiver, that's for the voucher card program. Is that correct, Counselor? That's the one you're looking at?
The Lewis uniform, yes.
Lewis and United uniform.
Lewis Unite. Wait, let me pull it up. Yep, Lewis uniform and United uniform.
Is that, is it the one that says, what's the dollar value at the bottom? Because we sent a couple letters on those
It's
companies.
$10,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that goes in conjunction with the voucher card program that we do for uniforms for our officers. What the 10,000 is to set up in the department policy. We replace uniform items that are damaged in the course of an officer performing his or her duties. So this is asking for a waiver to go along with the voucher card program, saying the officers who bought the items at Lewis or United, because those are our local vendors, can also go and replace a damaged item at those same vendors.
Okay, so when you do replacement, is there cost saving to that at all, or is it for the convenience sake?
There's not a cost savings. You know, we're paying whatever the value of the uniform item is. It just allows our officers to buy the shirts or the pants or whatever that are actually authorized by the department for them to wear. They can't, you know, there's probably 24 navy blue uniform shirts out there on the market. Our officers are restricted to 2 or 3 different ones, so we can maintain uniformity of the department.
Okay, and this is the only company in the area that can produce that same uniform?
Lewis and United are the only local uniform shops that provide the uniforms, correct?
Is it so and the reason I'm asking this, Lieutenant, is the way we are providing a waiver, we should have you know, reasons as to why we are waiving it instead of making it a competitive bid. You know, put it out there so we can make sure we get more for our buck. So I'm wondering, is this the only uniform company that can provide the department? And is it even in the city? That's what I'm asking. Also,
They are the only ones located in the city.
Okay.
In addition, they're the only ones who have a local presence of any type. Even if you go out, you know, even if we're to move out into Onondaga County, there are no other ones that we're aware of.
counselors. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to number 3, which is the $3,000 item for the veterinary specialist Center of CNY.
Lutz,
The purpose for,
Lutz, are they tied together with number 4?
No, they're different.
3 and 4.
They're different. One is
is
for
for-
veterinary. Yeah.
There should be 2 letters before you, Counselor, that pertain to Veterinary Medical Center.
Yes.
One has to do with a contract that was in place and expired, and out of necessity, because of emergency situations with the dogs,
Yep.
our canine officers took the dog to the same place they've always taken them for an emergency. Unbeknownst to them, the contract had lapsed. So the one letter is a request to extend that contract to pay those bills that, you know, the dogs were taken care of in good faith.
Mhm.
And then the other letter is to request that a new contract be put in place so that we have a valid contract to cover us for fiscal year 21 knowing that emergencies will happen and we're going to need to take the dogs there.
Okay. Is this the same company in Camillus that I think Chip Cecil and us talked about a week or a couple of weeks ago? Is this the same company?
It is not. The Camillus Animal Hospital does all of our routine care for the dogs, whether it be shots, checkups, whatever the case might be. The Veterinary Medical Center operates 24/7, whereas Camillus does not. So if a dog is injured in the middle of the night on duty or over the weekend, the vet center gives us coverage to get those dogs treated immediately that Camillus can't provide.
Okay, counselors? All right, I guess that should be it for you, right? Oh, you got one more.
We only showed 4, Councilman Majo.
Yeah.
Sir, I wanted to remind you and President Hudson, your other committee members, that the 50,000 that we have here for Global Perspective Consulting, it's also on our budget contingency list, that if we have to make some desperate measures here over the next couple of months or so, that money will be wiped off of the board as a part of our contingency. I think Deputy Mayor Owens is on here as well, but that money is listed in that area as well.
Yes, I'm here, Chief. And counselors, I think Chief brings up a good point. If we find that there are items that you have approved that become part of the contingency budget, to make you aware of that.
Councilor Rudd, any response to that?
Any response to what? The item?
Yeah, what was just said?
Are Councilor Driscoll or Allen on the line?
It's just you and I.
Can we advance the Spark the right to know legislation onto the agenda today?
No.
Okay, then I don't want to vote on any of the other items.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Do you give anything else?
Nope, those are the 4 we had.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So is that to mean that any items coming before the council, we expect to be held up until you all vote on the Spark items? Is that my understanding?
Yeah, I'm not voting on these 4.
Yep.
Just these 4, or anything that comes before?
I'm not voting on anything until it goes. These 4 are the first 4.
Okay.
All right.
That's the way. You all think that's the best way to do business?
Well, if and then if we can't move anything until out of the committee, until the committee member said that it's okay to move. So
Okay.
There's no reason not to move it forward. We can debate it and have the lawyer review it and talk about it and change it and make it what we want, but it should go on to the full agenda so we're all discussing it and we're not just doing it with the 4 people on the committee, 2 of whom aren't even here.
Councilor Rudd, we talked about this yesterday, okay, and it was available to everybody yesterday to chime in. We talked about it. There are reasons why based on yesterday, why it can't be advanced yet. Okay?
All right, well, I'm not going to vote on any of these ones. Or I vote no. I vote no. I vote no on all of these ones. So
okay,
I don't know how it passes.
Like I said, your vote is your vote. So
All right,
I think we can't change that.
So let me ask Councilman Rudd a question. How would you view me as a chief of police if I said to you, don't send us any more requests for your area until you approve our contract? What would you think of me as a chief of police?
I think you'd be breaking the law.
For telling you not to call me until you approve our contract?
I mean, you're not allowed to tell. I mean, you could tell me, but if I call you and you don't respond, then you're breaking the law because you're striking.
How am I striking? I'm just not responding to you.
I think that already happened. So okay.
Oh, come on, stop it.
Not you in particular, but in general.
Right, I think this conversation it's not going to help our case here. So let's move on to the fire, and we'll settle this out of this space.
Is that it for us, sir?
I think that's it. You only had 4 items, unless if you have any other item that I'm not aware of.
Okay, I think that was it for us.
Councilor Jones, can I just ask a quick question on this?
Councilor Green, go ahead.
Is this something we'd be able to have a special committee meeting to vote on right to know?
Say that again?
Would we be able to have a special committee meeting and sometime before the next standing committee meeting to vote on right to know?
That I have no answer to that.
But can I ask the question, did that actually go over to our attorney? Has he actually looked at it, Counselor?
So Madam President, yesterday, as soon as the meeting was over, I took everything and I forwarded them to the attorney.
Okay, so I think the first thing is maybe you need to reach out to him when we get off of this call and find out where he is and where his opinion is.
Right.
And Tim, I hear you. I hear you, but I think there has to be an opportunity to actually look at this before we say, can we, move it as it is? We need to let our attorney look at it.
That would be fine. I would be fine putting a right to know item with no detail in the agenda to move forward, and we populate it after Ronnie White Jr. has had time to review it, but we get it on the agenda so that we're not waiting a month.
Councilor Rudd, I think your need to move this item forward, we all agree, but we can't be impulsive about this stuff. We gotta make sure that whatever we do, that we are confident that we are doing the best interest for everybody. And what we have done, it has not been 24 hours yet, Councilor Rudd, since we spoke about it yesterday. It has not. And yesterday, as soon as we got off the phone, the first thing I did, I had to hunt down the attorney, and I gave it to the attorney. We got to also be fair to the attorney also to do his research and to do his analysis. We can't be rushing these things. That's my position.
We can always hold it while it's on the agenda. There's no point in slowing it down in the committee.
My issue is we can't be wasting people's time. Yesterday was a complete waste of time yesterday, because there were too many questions that were not answered. It was a complete waste of time, and I'm not willing to do that. Until we know for sure that each question are answered, we can't move forward. And just look ridiculous. I don't want to look ridiculous. So that's where I am, and just I understand your urgency here. I am in that position as well. We have to be logical about this as well. That's as we serve our people, we also have to stay within the framework of what is doable and what is not. So that's where I am. I am just as eager to want to move this forward as you are. But we have to do it in a way that it's accommodate what needs to accommodate. And we can't do that unless we hear the legal analysis.
Just as an example, I've held items before as finance chair, but I've never held them in committee ad nauseum. I move them onto the agenda and we debate them in public. And then I hold them in public because they're not ready. My
thing is, Councilor Rudd, committee is to vet the item until the committee feels like the item is ready. We move on to the council. It cannot move. We'll go yesterday. You have seen it yesterday. What we did yesterday confuses everybody. Yesterday, there were questions we asked Joe Barry. He couldn't answer. Some of it was just a chaos yesterday. And I'm not willing to put as the council or any other body in the nature of yesterday. I'm just not in that position. I don't want to do that again. until we are ready, we will move this. And like I said, I am just as open and willing to do this, but it has to be done in the right way. So with that being said, I want us to move forward with the meeting. I'm the only vote here that can move the item forward, but Brett is not as voted no.
Councilor Mashok?
Yes.
That's
Councilor Hogan. Councilor Hogan, we can't hear you.
Councilor Mashok?
Hogan? Yes.
Councilor, I just want to point out that, you know, Councilor Mashok, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm hearing you.
I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear you. Councilor Mashok, I just want to point out the previous 4 terms I served on the city council, we didn't have standing committees. And a lot of times we would debate this at study sessions. And if we felt the need to get further guidance from corporate counsel or from a lawyer we would hold the item. The standing committee certainly does a great job as far as vetting these subjects, but I think this subject has been vetted for the last year or so, and I think there's a great urgency to allow the public has already weighed in on this. I think both the administration and the city council should make a decision on this. And I would urge you to let this go forward to study session along the lines that Councilor Rudd said. That's all I got, Councilor.
All right, thank you. All right, can we move on with our item? This is derailing us from the agenda, and I don't want to be derailed. Is Mon around?
Yes, Councilor Mashok, this is Chief Mons. Good evening, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
I have 6 items on the agenda for the committee meeting today. Each of these items is a sole source supplier that I'm requesting to have authorization to utilize for specific uses for our operation. I'll go down the list. Number 5 is for Air Cleaning Systems Incorporation. What this product does, it removes all the toxic fumes from all of our buildings when the fire apparatus comes in and out. And we're just asking to not to exceed $15,000 for this fiscal year to be able to buy parts and keep this maintained. Does anybody have any questions on that item number 5?
Did we just approve this this past spring, Chief, or was it different?
No, I applied for a grant to upgrade our whole Plamo vent system.
Okay.
But this is to be able to buy the parts to maintain the system that we currently have. Okay. And they are the only provider of this particular these parts that we need to maintain our system.
Okay. Okay. So the one we spoke about in the spring was just approval of the grant, because
yes, and we have not heard any response back or any answers back if we got awarded that grant as of yet.
Okay, and the grant was to replace the whole thing, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Councilors, question? Okay. Move on, Chief.
Okay. Number 6 is for the fire department to be authorized to purchase parts for our aerial ladder trucks. This is also a sole source provider. We have our aerial ladders that are in the neighborhoods that respond to all of our alarms that we go to. And this is just an item that I'm asking for. So when we need replacement parts to keep the fire trucks running, we are able to purchase the parts. And this is to not to exceed $80,000 for the fiscal year. Does anybody have any questions on that item?
No, Chief, I don't. Councilors, anyone?
All good.
Okay, number 7 is a similar type item as the one I just explained. This one is for KME. We have fire engines that are made by KME. And I'm asking just for the authorization not to exceed $15,000 this year to buy parts to fix these engines when they break or when there's a repair that's needed. And again, that's for $15,000 for this fiscal year.
And again, just like I have, you told us before, ordering these parts usually is you don't have many vendors that produce the parts.
No, these are specific manufacturers that produce these fire engines and fire trucks. These particular engines cost $800,000 that are in our capital plan that we've gotten over the years. So this $15,000 is just to replace mufflers, different types of components in the engine, different doors, windshield wipers, just maintenance for the fire trucks that are made by KME.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions on that KME item? Okay, the next item, number 8. This is, I'm requesting authorization to purchase parts for our AMKIS tools. The AMKIS tools, they're otherwise known to most civilians as the jaws of life. If there's a car accident, these are the tools that we use to open up doors that are crushed from a car accident. And we're asking just to use Jerome Fire Equipment to actually conduct our replacement or repairs. And this is for not to exceed $5,000 for the fiscal year.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions?
So this is based on you pay out as it is used, right?
Yes.
Okay.
As it might need preventive maintenance, or if it's not operating correctly, we send it out to get repaired.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions on that?
That's it, Chief. Go ahead.
Okay. The next item is for our mobile devices that are on the fire trucks. These are basically computers, or they're almost like iPads, where the 911 dispatch center sends all of our information right to our fire trucks. It updates us on the way to our calls to let us know if there's a fire, or right now during COVID, 911, we have a policy in place where the 911 center lets us know ahead of time if we were possibly getting dispatched to a COVID related address. So this $30,000 is to just maintain that equipment that we have, to buy replacement parts if there's any repair, or if we need to buy new ones as they are outdated. And that is not to exceed $30,000 in this fiscal year. Does anybody have any questions on that item?
No, Chief. Counselor,
Okay.
Not me. Counselors, anyone? No.
And the last item I have for this evening is similar to a few of the other ones I spoke about earlier. They are to be to give me authorization to use Sutphen and Vandermolen, who is an authorized distributor for our aerial ladder trucks, to buy parts and equipment as needed for repairs, and that's not to exceed $30,000. And that's all the items that I have. If anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer anything.
That should be it, Chief. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Everybody have a good evening.
All right. Well, that should do it for the.
I'm fine moving the 6 fire items.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Well, that will conclude our public safety meeting today. Thank you all. Have a good night.
Councilor Majoke?
Yes.
Just need to double check what is moving forward and what is not out of the 10.
Well, the fire is moving forward, but the fire is moving forward, but the police is not.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. All right. Have a good night, everybody.